second Monday, February the 2nd. Transfer deadline day. Updates, guys. Look, it's, you know, there are many things that I want to say. Look, I take no joy in what I'm going to say today. You know, it is what it is. So look, get into the show. First thing to say is, look, get into this amazing community. This is the best community on this platform, hands down. The only thing we do ask, look, is be respectful to the community, be respectful to the chat, be respectful to yourself, and be respectful to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out. We don't like to do it, but we absolutely will. Second thing to say is, look, I'm not a dictator of this chat, so I read out your chats. You know, if you think I don't, then I do. Hence, this is why this show takes so long. Nicarutsu says, JB, my friend, thank you for the beautiful shirt. Look, Nicarutsu, my pleasure, mate. And look, thank you for all the support, my friend. Absolute legend. Dino is in the house. I'm not too bad, JB, and I hope you're doing extremely well. So Brown Knight is in the house. What did I miss? Legend. And Danny is in the house, JB. It's a disgraceful situation. Look, I'm gonna start off with this. And this is not aimed at this community. You know, this is aimed at well, it's not really aimed at anybody as such. And Danny says, complete clowns, no ambition of top 4 signings, and we will get into it today. The first thing I wanted to say, and again, I hate saying this, right? This is not something that gives me joy. This is not something because I will want to be right. But I've told you all, like, and again, this isn't aimed at you guys. This is just aimed in the ether. This is aimed at people who've come on this channel, and look, we have won 3 in a row. That is not in dispute. You know, and look, you know, I admire that. And look, you know, and I get it completely. But look, what I'm going to say here on this is, look, if this team stays fit, is this team capable? Right? It's shown that it is. Are we going to make signings in this window that are going to be significant? No. But what cannot be denied is this: if we get an injury to that midfield, we're done for. And look, I understand what people are saying here, but this is Glazer thinking. Look, now I get it. We've won 3 in a row. I don't understand this obsession. We've won 3 in a row. So what? Like, have we turned a corner? JB guns are popping. His sleeves look smaller than usual. Look, you know, look. I'm back in the gym. What windows? February already. Look, the transfer window is done today, right? And it finishes at 7 o'clock tonight. Now, I know what people are saying, and look, I semi-agree. With, unless we're going to sign some players that are going to move the conversation on 100%. Henderson says it's finally great to be here. Legend, my friend. The problem is, and this for me is the biggest problem. And look, I don't disagree with some people that say, you know, if we can't add to the conversation, then what is the point of making a signing? But it's what this represents. If we get injured, if we get injuries, this team is done. We are taking a gamble. We are taking a risk. Now, look, I know we've won 3 in a row, and I'm super happy, super happy. And Mappa says if Cass and Manu get injured, exactly. So, you know, this for and another thing I do have to say, Harry says, hey JB, I hope well as well, mate. Useless owners, they don't have the balls to push for fourth. James Robert says, unless the Glazers and Ineos go, there will be no signings. It's irrelevant what any media. And James, mate, this is, look, I'll say this, and this is uncomfortable for some people. Kane says, hello, Kane. And this is uncomfortable for some people, right? This is a small channel, and I've been getting bits and pieces for quite some time. A couple of things on here that I've got right before anyone else, and not because I'm great, just because I get told stuff, I tell you guys stuff. I got told in November time. I've been adamant whilst everyone else has been complicit for your clicks, for your views. We're talking Ornstein, Romano, and these people get things from the club. Channels have been talking about some menus, talking about the labours, talking about all sorts of stuff. I have been saying this because this is something I've got told by somebody who I can't say too much, that we wouldn't make a signing and go back. I've been saying this throughout the whole of December, while this fan base has been spun around. This fan base has been played. Again, I've not been played. This fan base has been played. And today, what you are seeing today is the outcome of the play. The 3 wins in a row is fantastic, right? But yesterday's result, let's not pretend yesterday was this performance of sublime performance. You know, people are saying that we're back. I'm not diminishing yesterday. Look, I celebrated it. What a fantastic win. But this is what the Glazers want you to do. And look, today, this is not about the team. This is not about Carrick. This is not about calling the players out. You have to compartmentalise team, results, and the Glazers, because otherwise what happens is you're going to focus on, you're going to let the team and the wins and the manager cloud what this club is. And as many of you guys have said, including myself, making a signing is a statement of intent. Now, I'll give you my reasons as to why I've maintained this. Some of the reasons that I have are based on the things that I've been told, and if you look at the trail is there, and we'll go through the stuff. So look, let me go through some of your chats, and we'll go. I know, look, so Brown Knight is right. Look, mate, I don't disagree. Because, you know, at all, we've won 3 in a row, but I just don't see why that needs to cloud what this is. I've been saying for a while, either loans or nothing. Says Dino, are we really that skint, or are we lacking ambition? I think it's both. Dino says both. Nick, what win? Yeah. Let's go through here. Glazers would at least do a desperate loan signing. Ineos or worse, JB, penny pinching parasites. I've got some stronger words than that. United, I've took the meaning of deadline day to a whole new level. If Casson Manu get injured, Manu Casemiro injury, and we're done with Ugarte and academy players. No point making a bullshit signing just to keep social media happy. And look, you know, again, I don't disagree. Like, I don't disagree with making a signing just a bullshit signing. I don't. But I think what I just think making a signing that is a Premier League or an experienced head. You know, we talk about a Casemiro, right? Casemiro experience. Is Casemiro one of the Premiership midfielders of the season, or is Casemiro one of the best midfielders in the Premier League? No. The reason why Casemiro is looking so good right now is because of the lack of depth. Look, if we had a Baleba, if we had a Stiller and Anderson, by comparison, the way that Casemiro makes the other midfield players look bad, a Stiller, Baleba and Anderson would make the gulf between them and Casemiro would look so vast. Not because Casemiro wasn't a fantastic player, because he's 34 years old. James says maybe Carrick getting 3 wins has confirmed why they won't go into the transfer window. And again, look, three wins is a look. I get it. I will come on to that as well, because I think, look, that is, yeah, and I'm not calling you James. It's what the Glazers wanted. The team's recent performances is papering over the cracks. The infrastructure that is failing this club, exactly. I just don't get it. We're at a season high. We're playing good football, and you're online sulking and moaning. Look. It's a brown note. Look, mate. I respect the opinion, right? It's 3 games. I'm not moaning and complaining. So let me say this to you now. If we get injuries, this is a very, very long season, right? And I'm making this point now. Brandon, am I supposed to jump on board with this team right now and go, oh, so Carrick's at the wheel. Oh, we've won 3 games. Oh, this is amazing. Oh, you know, again, this is what the Glazer wanted. The protests died on its arse, right? We finished 15th last season. We've got the majority of the same players here. We've gone on a 3-game run. What is this? Is this amateur hour? Like, this whole rhetoric and spin is why this club fails. We've won 3 games on the bounce, and people are talking about a push for the Premier League. Now look, are we in a top 4 race? Yes, we are. But yesterday a statement of intent? No, it wasn't. Like, now, I didn't want to be dragged into yesterday's result, right? But it is so short-sighted to think that we are got a bare bones squad, right? I will not buy into this whole bullshit that we've turned this corner. Carrick is at the wheel. We've been told Carrick is touching heart and minds. We're supposed to be a high-level, performance-based club who are pushing for top 4. Is this team going to win a title? No. 1 or 2 injuries to this team and we are fucked. And look, I get it. Look, I don't blame fans. For being spun around. And Brown Knight, no disrespects, mate, but you're clearly intoxicated by, and you clearly buy into it. You know, look, that's just my view. You're clearly buying into, just as you're saying to me, you know, I am sulking and I'm complaining. I think you're being blindsided. I think you're being very, very naive. I think you're buying into the Glazer bullshit. I think you're buying into the flip-flop. I think you're buying into this whole, we've won 3 games. And look, I guarantee you this. If we'd have lost those 3 games, or the 2 games, these fuckers would be scrambling around to sign players. These 3 wins could mask what is to come. We've got Spurs, and look, I am hopeful for this team. This is not about the team. This is not about wins. This is 3 wins in a row in the context of a season. People are behaving right now like we've won the fucking Premier League. People are behaving like we've absolutely secured 4th. People are behaving like we can go on a title push. This is Glazonomics. Look, we should be signing players to make sure we get top 4. Right now, the media has said it. Carrick has said this. His contribution to this team is he's winning hearts and minds. Does that fill you with confidence? Does that fill you with confidence that we're going to get Champions League because Carrick is winning like hearts and minds. We know what these players are, but because they've won 3 games, they get yet another reprieve. These players get another chance. They get another bite at the cherry. Yesterday's performance was good, but it wasn't. It wasn't this brand new performance. Where I would concede is that Carrick has got these players believing again, but we're not going to score in the 96th minute every single game. Fulham didn't exactly play the best, but yet we won a game. Is that going to happen every single game? No. So look, this fan base is so easily spun. And look, people have been spun all window. And look, I'm partly with fans on the basis that why sign players that are not going to move on the conversation. I have said that. But categorically, if we get an injury or two, we are screwed. And Brown Knight, what's your argument going to be then? What's your argument going to be? Are we really going to beat Spurs? Are we really going to go on this run? What happens if Spurs win? Are people then going to start to moan and complain if Liverpool win? We drop down to 6th. You know, why aren't we as a club? Why aren't we making sure that we're going to finish top 4? Why are we just living on hopes and dreams and prayers? Because the reason why we're not going to make a signing is because there's no money. But look, people are allowed to live on hopes and dreams. Brilliant says, hi. The Glazers sold 7.8% of the ownership to a Chinese company who renovated Carrington. I don't see what that's got to do with the price of fish. I really don't see. Ineos, Sir Jim, Ineos and Sir Jim will categorically tell you. Ineos and Sir Jim will categorically tell you that they put the money in, not some Chinese company. But you know, clubs should be bringing in players, getting them used to the start of play. There were protests. Yeah, there were. But again, you know, I take my hat off to the protests, but the numbers yesterday was something like 600. You know, what are 600 people supposed to do against a fan base right now that is riding a high? What happens when inevitably this team falls off of a cliff? We have won three games. Manu is playing abroad. Wants us to forget and wait for false promises in the summer. I would sign Saint Maximum. We can't keep pressure on faltering ownership who haven't been in Manchester in 8 months. Listen, I watched both the men's and the women's games. It's much shallower than you guess. No. Look. I don't disagree with you. Let me give you an example, right? And again, you know, look, I'm not calling anybody out here, but I was going to go to the protests, right? I was going to cover the protests. I got told in uncertain terms, don't go. And I'm not going to go into the things that were said. I'm not going to go into the stuff. Like it wasn't just random people. Now look, I ain't scared of nobody. Right? I can take care of myself. I ain't bothered, right? But I'm not going to cause a rhetoric and take away from the protests. I don't look. I take no. You know, people are frustrated, right? And I get these channels are hated by people. I get that. I really do. And I was never going to make a conversation about me. So I was advised by the police. I then took it upon myself to not go because look, the conversation isn't about me. I was never going to take a channel and start to report, and because look, that doesn't serve anybody. But there seems to be a hierarchy. There seems to be a hierarchy of fan. There seems to be, look, right now there's a hierarchy of fan. There are, there are fans that are spun around constantly. And look, I don't necessarily blame the fan base. What is this fan base supposed to do? Should we be doing X, Y, and Z? Should everybody come together? Yes. Will people come together? No. Because this is one big toxic mess. We've got 3 wins and people are talking about winning a league. We've got 3 wins and everything is amazing again. Carrick is at the wheel. We've seen this so many times. Ollie was at the wheel. We've seen this again, and this movie has been played over and over again. And as I said in November on this channel, I was told we're not making any signings, and it's fucking happened because people don't listen. People don't want to listen. People don't want to listen. People, look, I got told it. There are people that are smarter than me who predicted this as well. Right? I got told it. People don't believe this channel. They would rather go and watch the big channels because they tell you what you want to hear. They tell you, that we're going to sign Semenyo. This is why this fan base fails. Carrick's job is to stabilise the ship. No, it is. Look, and I am not having a pop at him. By the way, this really at the moment is not about the channel. Chelsea are playing the Gunners tomorrow. We have to overturn the 3-2 scoreline. Maradona, Brownlight is a victim of the Glazers' propaganda. Ineos spam so hard he believes that we'll win the league. Just do your thing, JB. Sky is in the chat. The house looks nice, but the kitchen is on fire. Exactly. Nick Carucci was my heart. Wilcox definitely has scouted enough players, but we can't expect Sujim to continue putting money in and the Glazers bandwagoning the minuscule success. We definitely have scouted enough players, but we can't expect Sujim to continue putting money in and the Glazers. Look. I don't agree with you. I will always say this. Look. You clearly have opinions on the basis that I'm getting the impression that you're a Wilcox supporter. You are a Sir Jim supporter, and I am getting on the verge that you are a Glazer supporter. Look, this channel will never ban those opinions, right? Because this is not a dictatorship, right? You're entitled to have that view, right? Jason Wilcox is a fucking moron. Jason Wilcox is not the best in class. Jason Wilcox has no idea what this club is. Jason Wilcox is a moron. Look, today has come out. Wilcox has so Malacia was basically going to board the plane. A player that is not used, a player that is not going to be used. The deal was sanctioned to go to Besiktas. The kid was going to go on a train, and Wilcox pulled it. Jason Wilcox has no right to be in charge of this club. Where's his best in class? Wilcox was the director of Southampton that went down. The guy said he is the manager of this team behind the scenes. Jason Wilcox is a fucking moron. Like, who is he? Wilcox is not the guy. And look, I respect the opinion. I'm giving you my opinion. I'm not disrespecting yours. But in my view, Jason Wilcox is a fucking moron. Like, he doesn't understand this club. And it shows because we won 3 games. That's got nothing to do with him. We needed midfielders. We needed signings. And we've scouted players. Chelsea scout players, City scout players, Liverpool scout players, Brighton scout players. Just because we've scouted players, what does that mean? Sir Jim, we can't expect Sir Jim to keep putting cash into this club. Why not? He is the owner. He is complicit. The Glazers are fucking scum. The Glazers should absolutely bandwagon this club because they own it. The Glazers have never put a penny of their own money into this club. I did a video on it. The Glazers have never put a penny of their own cash into this club. The Glazers bought this club on debt. The debt has gone up. They've used £800 million to service the debt. They've taken £1 billion out of this club. They've never put a penny of their own cash in. And as for Sir Jim, if you don't want to put money into this club, then don't get in bed with the fucking Glazers, because you didn't have to. Sir Jim did not have to get involved in this club. So 100% Sir Jim needs to be ploughing money into this club. The Glazers need to keep putting money into this club, because your argument is flawed. Because so let me just understand this right. Owners shouldn't put money into this club because the success is small. That's the very reason why you should put money into a club. So what you're saying is that you don't invest in a club because the success isn't there. So you don't invest to make it better. So what you're saying here is that don't invest in the club and let it get worse and worse and worse. Look, that is Glazer thinking. Like I'm not, and nobody else should call your opinion out. That is your opinion. But what a deluded view, in my opinion, that Wilcox is basically doing a good job. Sir Jim shouldn't continue to put money into this club, and the Glazers shouldn't be called out because of there is a lack of success. The reason why there is a lack of success is because of the ridiculous spending. It's because of the ineptitude. But no. Let's not expect an owner of a club, because it's not Sir Jim's fault. Sir Jim employed these people. Sir Jim is complicit in this mess. We're in debt. We're in £1.2 billion of debt. But no. Sir Jim shouldn't put any cash in to this club as an owner. The Glazers shouldn't be blamed here because of success, because of there's a limited amount of success. I mean, come on. I mean, what an absolute ridiculous notion. I mean, come on now. Love from Kenya. This guy's only for 2 weeks. It's a conspiracy to get me out. Hope nothing comes of the investigation. Can you play Windows Shopper song and Candy Shopper song by 50 Cent? They would have signed Lookman on loan since Dorgu was injured. Mate, they're never signing. They're not signing a Lookman. They're not signing that. It's all right spending money on scouting, but if we aren't going to sign players, what's the point throwing money away? Something you are clearly not using. And look, Dino, I don't disagree with spending money in the correct places. You know, look, I don't. But the comment above was basically that that the Glazers shouldn't put any more cash into the club because the success isn't there, and Sir Jim shouldn't put more cash into the club. It doesn't make sense. Are they in for the team, or are they in to make money for themselves? No, what I mean is Sir Jim will never invest as he should, but it gives leeway to the fan base to forget about the Glazers killing the club. Look, mate, I apologise if I've misconstrued the comment, but look, all I'm saying here, mate, is look, you can tell the passion that I have. And look, Bree, if I've misdrew the comment, I apologise. I I do. But you know, look, anything to do with the Glazers is a red rag to a bull with me. But look, Brie, I apologise profusely if I've misinterpreted what you're saying, mate. I today for me is a very fraught day. But look, Brie, that doesn't excuse me if I'm rude. JB, what's your top 3 favourite kits of all time? My top 3 favourite kits are that one. That's number 1 for me. That one. No, number 2 is the blue one with the no. My first choice is the blue one. Is the blue one with the blue and white on it. The one that I wear quite a bit. The second one is that one because of what that means. And my third favourite kit is the treble winning red kit. Yeah. Sam says deadline day deal. Sam says hi. Look, are we gonna do deals? No, we're not. So I'll give you an update. What is going around? So what is going around is this: is that Wilcox has pulled the plug on a Malacia deal to Besiktas. Because basically we know we're not going to make a signing, so he's not sanctioned that because we need players. Ugarte, there was offers for Ugarte. Did Autobot get sacked? Autobot is just on hiatus for now. It was more of a tester. And look, I may bring it back into the future, but I don't think we need it as of now. No deals. The owners, look, they are. Henderson says, I like the current black emotion. Yeah, I actually quite like the black shirt as well, actually. It does remind me of this classic one. Even something small as recording collier. And look, I just don't understand why this club won't make us, and I'll give you the reasons as to why as well, in my view. Sam says, I didn't get why one get Anderson and then the problem is solved and stops everyone else. Soprano says, he was driving. I'm sorry, but part of being a fan is being a fanatic. If you can't express happiness in this situation, then call me intoxicated all you want, but you'll purely be toxic. Look, I disagree with you. I disagree with you. Look, fans can be fanatical, and I've said this many times, and I will aim this at you, right? There is nothing wrong in being intoxicated, in being a fanatic in this club, right? I am not disputing that. I've said this many times on this channel. I've said it. I want you guys to believe that we can finish top 4. I want you guys to believe that we can win a league. I want that for you guys, right? But how many times have you been told, or we been told after wins? You look at Ollie. Ollie went on that run of wins. He got some of his players playing, but ultimately, what happened? Did we win a league? No. The time we finished second, we were nowhere near a league. Very unique. There is being fanatical, and I get that. I really do. Look, I've supported this club for 38 years, right? If I wasn't fanatical to some degree about this club, I wouldn't care, right? I wouldn't care. I would put clickbait shit out all of the time, and I wouldn't care, right? But you can be fanatical about this club. You can support. Look, yesterday's win was amazing. I'm still happy. I am not trying to promote today. Do not be happy. But I am not fooled. You can be fanatical and passionate. I am passionate about this club. But I am not fooled by what this is. We have won 3 games. And I don't think, do I think you're a toxic fan? No. And I apologise. Right? I don't think that you are. Right? And I apologise. Right? But if you're coming on here and look, you did have a pop at me first, so I'm just coming back. Look, I reserve my right to respect your view. I reserve your right as well to have your opinion. I reserve my right to have my view. But Brown Knight, if you come at me, I'm gonna come back, right? I do not buy into 3 wins and we're back. Just because I say that doesn't make me any less passionate and any less fanatical than the next fan. Just because you think that, I don't think that you're any less fanatical than me. But if you look at last season, we finished 15th last season. If you look at this season, the only reason why we're in touch and distance of a top 3, top 4, if you look at this season, it is there in front of you. Facts don't lie. I think we're something like 1 or 2 points, 4 points better off than last season. We finished 15th last season. I am not fooled. Arsenal, City, we've beaten these teams before when we were awful. Fulham was a close call. We didn't dominate them. Going forward, we were great. But was yesterday, look at the game, we won 3. Were we fantastic yesterday? No. This team is a limited team, and just because I'm talking about the Glazers today, look, you are confusing today the fact that I'm talking about a transfer window that is happening today. It is not my fault that we won a game and the transfer window is today. Am I supposed to be happy today? This transfer window, and because of the inaction of this club, takes away some of the positivity. I'm not going to sit here today and blow smoke up the Glazers' arse and blow smoke at a fan base when I think it is despicable that we're trying to push for a top 4 place, which is not guaranteed. So look, I do apologise for calling you toxic, but you did come at me. But I do not prescribe to the same things as you. Just because I'm trying to put a realistic spin on this club doesn't mean that I'm any less fanatical than the next person. Doesn't mean I'm not a passionate person. I am. But I will not be bought and I will not be buy into the shit because we haven't had success for 13 years. If this club was so great, if this club is amazing, where is the success? I don't call success a Europa League, 1 Europa League. And yes, we've been in finals, but we've not won them. He was caught nicking comments. Liz says, so will keep Bruno come the end of the season if it's a good amount of money comes in for him. I think the logical and smart move for me there would be Bruno Fernandes. As long as we're going to get somebody to replace him, then I think we sell him. If we're not going to, we keep him. The club is kidnapped by the people in charge. I do agree. Sam says, I reckon we'll get Stiller and Anderson with a centre-back in the summer and a striker if we're lucky. Send Carrick that a 5-year deal. Look, people can have that opinion. I'm not. Look, people, I think it's very, very naive, and I think it's very, very short-sighted after 3 wins to give a manager a deal for 5 years. What has Carrick done? other than win 3 games, you give him a 5-year deal based on what? So let's just say we give Carrick a 5-year deal, right? What happens if Carrick now goes and loses to the end of the season and we finish 8th? Then we've got Carrick for 5 years. That's a 5-year contract that we would have to pay out. Top 4 finisher, Sam. Look, Sam, I think the way this season is I think that top 4 is on. Mate, look, Sam, top 4 is on. With this season, with the squad, the way that it is, top 4 is on. But are we going to get it? Mohammed says, I think the recruitment has got better. I do get Omni going for long-term targets. Fans say all the time recruitment has been poor. Has recruitment been good? Has it got better? At the moment, I don't think it has. Have we signed better players? Look, I think we've signed better players. But if you're telling me, has recruitment been good? And I'll tell you for why recruitment hasn't. We didn't get a centre midfielder. These players were signed for a system that Amorim didn't play. So do I think initially that the recruitment was good? No. Do I think that the recruitment now under potentially a new coach is going to be good? Well, I think so, because Cunha is a great player. Dorgu is a great player. Mbumo is a great player. So do I think now in the context that Amorim has gone and now they're playing in a system that works? Yes. But these players weren't signed for this system. So I think the initial recruitment and what they were trying to do was correct. But I still don't think the recruitment was great. Rowan, I'm not going to rise to it, Rowan. You've just been reported, mate. So yeah, well done, mate. Well done, Rowan. You've just got yourself reported and you've got yourself banned. So there you go. Chad Sinclair says he's got 4. Oh, I love it. Look, people are gonna hate, and it is what it is. The worrying thing is the reports of the projections for revenue for the season. We're still going to make a loss. So where's the money coming from for new signings? And Dino, look, we'll go into that as well. Let's go into that as well. You know, I've spoken to you many times on that. I've covered it many times. People don't want to listen. People are going to get angry today. People are going to take that anger out on me, right? People are talking about, you know, we won 3 games, right? I get it, right? But if you look at fundamentally beyond 3 games, fans can only see what is in front of their face. I get it. But if you want to look at long-term success, this is what you've got to do. If you look at the amount of money that we lost, the end of the year was £34 million. Q1 this year, we've lost a further 13 million. So it's in and around 47 to 50 million pounds. We're projected to lose another 60 to 90. Let's just hedge our bets and say 80 million. 50 and 80 million is 130 million. Whether or not we bring cash into this club, a loss is a loss. You can't make 130 million loss disappear. Well, you can do, but it's called fraud. Where do we get this money from? It's sell to buy. And this is why, Dino, Champions League is so important. Look, I don't think people seem to, and I guarantee we moved to the summer, David Ornstein, mouthpiece, and David Ornstein is apparently, Ornstein gets fed stuff. I think David Ornstein is full of shit. I think David Ornstein, the reason why I say he's full of shit is because he is a mouthpiece of this club. If you go back and you listen to what he said in the summer, and this proves he's a fucking mouthpiece, is he put an interview out there and basically said that Ineos and the Glazers, whatever they don't sign in the summer window, they will push through to this window. Bullshit. He's also been talking about, again, Fabrizio as well, because people lap all this shit up. He's been talking about Baleba, Anderson, Stiller, and Walton. And is there any coincidence they were talking about this for the summer? They've been talking about the summer halfway through the previous month, because they've been briefed by this club to fucking spin everybody around. We're going to be £130 million in debt, further debt in the summer. How do we buy players? How do we buy players? So one of the fundamental things in this window as to the reason why we've not bought players is because the money's not there. The fact that Malacia, what is terrifying to me, what terrifies the fuck out of me, is the fact that Malacia, a player that was in the bomb squad, the player that serves no purpose in this squad, is having to stay because they're not going to sanction any deals. Could there be a last second shit deal? Yes. But you might as well not sign any players. Like, this is what people are missing. It is the money. People are focusing on the summer. Why are people focusing on the summer? They're focusing on the summer. And they're focusing on these 3 wins. Look, what terrifies me? What terrifies the fuck out of me even more, right? And look, I get it. It's a laugh. But all I'm hearing is this guy is going to get a haircut. What sort of fan base, what sort of club is this? To be distracted by some fucker who's not going to cut his hair until we win 5 games. This is what this club has become. It's a circus. It is a circus. People keep talking about this guy with his haircut. Who gives a flying fuck? We win 3 games. If we win 5 games on the bounce, I don't care. And he'll be plastered all over Sky. He'll be plastered all over social media. There'll be TikToks. There'll be memes. Never mind the fact that we might cement ourselves. And this is how passionate and fanatical that I am. I don't give a fuck about some twat who hasn't cut his hair for a fucking stunt that doesn't bring in any that doesn't add to a conversation. Not about how do we get these Glazers out, how do we get Ineos out, how do we start focusing eyes on the media. No. Let's focus our eyes on some twat who hasn't cut his hair. It's me. Just like some of these players, just like some of these ex-players, you've got somebody else that's turning a situation that has been awful, turning a situation that has been despicable all season and making it about himself because he's going to get a fucking haircut. Who gives a shit? And this is why the Glazers win. This is why the transfer window will pass and people will go, yeah, but we won 3 games. What happens if we get beat at Spurs? As to Brass says, the recruitment team are going to make a decision that needs to be undone in the future. I'm not fussed that we haven't no wins in this window. There's a long way to go. It's so tight for the Champions League spots. A few bad results and we could go into 10th. Ampadu Onana is perfect. Casemiro replacement. What's your favourite pair of boots ever made? Sam, my favourite pair of boots are either the original Predators, the Total 90s, or the World Cups. Malcolm says, glory to Man United. Nathan says, hi JB. Roy says, Carrick done all right. And look, I'm not saying that Carrick hasn't done well. Like, this isn't about Carrick. This isn't about Carrick. And I think people need to split out here. This is not about Carrick. This is beyond Carrick. Look, even if Carrick was here for 25 years, Carrick is going to move on. This is about future. JB, just for the giggles, you got to give us friends, Portuguese, friends, Wilcox friends, no signing, Wilcox friends, Ineos friends, friends. No manager deals to the end of the season, regardless of place. Incoming are going to be 2 or 3 CMs based on amortized fees. And look, all fees are based on the amortization, right? I get that. I completely understand that. But there's still transfer debt. You can have amortization, right? That is one piece of the puzzle. If you buy a player for, 80 million, you amortize that over 4 years, 20 million quid a year, fantastic. If you sell him for more or less than the value on the book, the net book value, I know because I used to be an accountant, then you make money or you lose money. Simple as that. But at the same time, you still have to buy the player. If you've not bought that player, you're still committed an amount of money. Just because you've not spent 80 million in the one go, you've still got those players on your books. And Nashim says, hi, cannot get the job because of 3 games. The board should say Carrick to get us top 4, and we'll discuss the manager at the end of the season. Grace says, do you think Mbeumo should be playing left and Cunha in the 9? I mean, Cunha's done well in 9, Grace. I think Cunha is more of a 9. I think Mbeumo was better when he was playing with Ahmad behind him. I do think Mbeumo is better coming off of the wide position. George says you're not at the back, and the market said I can't do the haircut. We all know that the owners don't care. It's about dividends for them. Stratford Ender, Glazers, Ineos out, mate. 100%. I'm with you, buddy. 100%. We'll spend 200 in the summer. Random guy says once the Glinios sacked Amrin, I knew they would leave the squad short in the January window. Exactly. The Brock says Carrick won't get the job. He is a coach. Our books are balanced at the end of the season, and we spend based on 4 or 5 years called amortization on a player. They say 30 million for wait. Look, mate, I understand this. I've spoken about this on this channel many times. Amortization is not difficult to understand. It really isn't. It's basically if you get 100, and I do think people now understand it. You amortize a player. If you sign for 100 million pounds over 5 years, you basically paid 20 million quid. The wages are still there though. Let's not forget this. It's not 100 million pounds. It is the wages as well. So look, amortization, I've explained it on this channel multiple times. Scott is in the house. Spin. Anderson won't happen till after the World Cup. Do we wait that long? If he has a good World Cup, his price will go up. Spinios, exactly, Danny. We need Malacia because Dorgu is injured. True, but Dorgu's not. But Dorgu doesn't play left. Malacia isn't a left forward. Malacia is a left back. Malacia is awful. I get it. I do get it. But Malacia hasn't played all season. Malacia is probably not going to play. But look, I get it. I do get it. 100 million you get for qualifying for Champions League. I'm begging for us to do it next season. I've never seen owners not to want to splash some money to make the club better. I never still would have been perfect. Agreed. If you win 5 games in a row, I've stopped drinking Red Bull for a week. Exactly. Who gives a fuck about exactly what a Glaze right in the chat? How is a fan who is speaking the truth a problem? Look, people don't like the truth. Kane is part of the problem in the fan base. If talking the truth is wrong, then the game is gone. Kane is a bootlicker. Good call, Grace. Bangman says, I get what you're saying about the haircut guy. I just took it as a bit of banter, but when you deep it, I don't disagree with you. The team will never win anything significant ever again with his ownership. O'Dallo more than friends. Cardi, thanks to be that never stops being funny. Afternoon, Ryan, legend. Glory to the bottle job, Saka, the whole United squad. Did you not see Saka when he played us? Look, I know Arsenal are trying to invade other people's channels because Arsenal are like, look at us. As I've responded to somebody this morning, Arsenal haven't won the league for 22 years. They've never won the Champions League. Even if Arsenal were to win a league, so what? What is it with these people? Saka was just not in good form. Okay. The point is that our books are balanced. Our contracts are nothing owed with the money we saved. This summer we should be able to spend 200 or 300 million on 4 or 5 players easy. I get that, but we're still in debt. I get that completely, but we're still in debt. You can't make £130 million loss disappear. And look, I fully accept that Casemiro's wage is going to be gone. Rashford's wages could be gone as well. Sancho's wage is probably going to be gone. But I don't buy into this. We're going to spend 300. Look, should we have the facility to do it? Yes. But don't forget, the interest payments are going to increase. Dividends wise, I don't know if they're being paid out again. Look, we the Bronx, where I would agree with you on this one is when Casemiro goes, Sancho goes, Rashford potentially going, and with Champions League money and what that brings in, I would agree with you. But if we don't get Champions League, with the projections of the losses for this year and for next, mate, we are not going to be, because that £300 million, you've got to take 130 off of that. You've got to, because we've lost that amount of money. So to make up that money, we're going to have to sell players. Rashik says hello. Hello, United still suck, says Ozzy. Top 5 battle, just going to be fun. I'm just happy our season isn't over. The day United's debit is cleared is when somebody pays off their mortgage. So Jackie Legend says, I'd play for United, but I wouldn't get out of bed for 300k. Liverpool now top of the league profits as well as trophies. And look, Terry, mate, look, welcome to the channel, my friend. I'm not going to disagree with that. I can't disagree with that, Terry. Are United still the biggest club? In my view, yes. But United have dropped down the list. Terry, look, and again, look, Terry, I think you've just made a great point, right? And Terry, mate, I actually think, Terry, you've just made a fantastic point, and I think you've made a good point at the perfect time. As Terry says there, right? Give Terry his due. What he said there, Liverpool are now top of the profits in the league, correct. As well as the trophies, correct. Right? So for people that are talking about we've won 3 games, right? We're back. We're gonna sign all of these players, we can spend £300 million. How? Terry has just made the point there. Liverpool are so far ahead on the profits. We have dropped down. We're now 8th. We've dropped out of the top 5. We are projected to make another loss. We made a loss at the end of the year. We made a Q1 loss. We're projected to make even more of a loss. How does winning 3 games mask this? How does 3 games mask Ineos and the Glazers out? Now, I've been listening to some better people than me, right? And it's so true. It's so true that a couple of wins and this fan base goes back to it just resets itself again. We'll get Champions League 100%. It's harder to argue that we are the biggest club. JB, the next 5 games, how many points do you reckon? Dino, let me have a little look. Let me look. Man United fixtures. So next 5 games are Spurs at home, Spurs at home, West Ham away, Everton away, Crystal Palace home, Newcastle away. I think that I'll go loss 3, 6. I think we'll go 9. I think we'll beat Tottenham. I think we'll just have enough to beat West Ham. I think we lose to the Toffees. I think we'll beat Palace. I think we'll lose away to the Geordies. Spurs is on the cusp. Bearing in mind, Spurs will take confidence from Champions League. Spurs will take confidence from drawing with a City. I think Spurs has got a draw written all over that. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I would say United just beat Spurs. I think we just beat West Ham, and I think we beat Palace. I think we lose away to Toffees, and we lose away to the Geordies. I think we take 9 from 15. Liverpool spent nearly £500 million. Don't believe everything you read. They're in massive debt. There's not the best players have 0 value because of their age. We're definitely 100% signing to send. Yeah, and look, I don't disagree that we're going to sign players. Who they're going to be, I don't know. We need 2 midfielders and another winger. Is that 125 million exactly? Stupid Saudis will pay up for Salah. The window owners won't sell because the area where the planned stadium to build is United owned. The window owners won't sell because the area where the planned stadium to build is United worth $3 billion. There is a freight line as well. The Freightliner is trying to stop in terms of the value of the freight line at the moment is 50 million, but they're asking for like 500 because, as you say, the project is going to be worth billions of pounds. But the Brox, what you got to understand is the reason why Sir Jim is very, very important to this is because of the links in the government. What the government can do, the government can issue a compulsory sell order. So whether or not Freightline like it, whether or not other companies like it around the planned stadium site, if the government deem it so, that infrastructure is more important, the government can force people to sell. That's a fact. So whether or not they want to sell or not, and look, I am fully behind. I am fully behind I'm fully behind. If the Glazers want top whack for something that's not worth the money, I fully support the businesses that are just like, we're not going to sell for cheap. The Glazers are not going to sell for cheap, but don't be fooled here. Sir Jim can use his influence, allegedly, to force these companies to sell. There's something called a compulsory sell order that the government can issue, and there's nothing that anybody can do. XD says that Liverpool should be extremely pleased because they have competent owners and splash the cash. Spurs game on paper should be cakewalk, considering where they are sitting in the league, but watching them against City certainly don't look that bad. Jamie says, hi, hello Jamie. It's like Man City, imagine finding a team run by billionaires, 50 spending too much. Ineos have to prove a point this summer of there allegedly will be a boycott, etc. The Yank owners should not be allowed to take dividends each year. And I agree with you. The Bronx, mate, completely agree with you. Who can replace Casemiro? I don't think it's going to be difficult to replace Casemiro. Can you replace Champions League winning Casemiro from Madrid? No, you can't. Can you replace Casemiro, who plays for us at 34 years old? Yes, you can. It's not going to be difficult to replace him. Ugarte was a shit signing. If we are going to get a compos mentis midfielder, it's not going to be difficult. I'm going to make friends with the Glazers, so when the new stadium is built, I get a box office seats for all the concerts. JB, you could be my +1. Nicarucci, mate. It's not going to happen, buddy. So look, what else did I want to say? So look, you know, I'm not going to do a show tonight because I'm not going to. I don't do a late show on a Monday. But look, don't be spun around. And look, I know today. Today is one of those days for me that is where you see people's opinions, right? And people are going to call it true fans, right? People, and I've already seen it. People are saying today is where you're going to see the real fans, right? Real fans have different views. Real fans have different views that today, you know, we should be happy because we won 3 in a row, right? Real fans' opinions are, we don't care necessarily about the Glazers. The Glazers are great. Ineos are great. Sir Jim is great. Those are opinions. Real fans are going to have different opinions and different views, right? And that is what a real fan is. Where I've got a problem with it is when people attack other people's opinions, right? Now, my opinions, and I respect some of the people on it. Well, in fact, I respect everybody on here, and I try to leave everybody have their views and opinions. But if somebody's going to attack my opinion, I am going to come back on it, right? I'm going to assume you're not going to do a live stream for the last hour of the window. No. I'm not going to do it tonight because look, if I was to do that, it makes me as bad as everybody else, right? There are going to be channels that are going to fucking milk the shit out of this, right? I'm not going to do a show on. I don't do shows on a Monday night now. Look, if something breaks, I will jump back on. But other than that, we're not going to make signings. Like if I come back on, right, as much as I absolutely love to interact with you guys, right, brilliant. But I'm not going to spam you guys with shit. I refuse to clickbait you guys. I refuse. And look, it costs me views, right? You know, people don't necessarily like my opinions, but I refuse to spam you guys. So look, if anything does happen, I will come back on, but it's not going to. let's get through some of your chats. Never back United 2008. What will you feel when Ronaldo retires? I won't feel a single thing, mate. Look, people find this hard to believe. People find this hard to contemplate, right? Cristiano is not my hero. Cristiano is one of the greatest players that have ever played the game. I admire him. I think he's up there. You could argue one of the best players of all time. He's not my best player of all time. Maradona is my best player of all time. Pele is my second one. I'm of a different generation. I will feel nothing. I will feel nothing but a sense of what an amazing player. Cristiano will have achieved more than what anybody could think of. I guarantee you he never thought that he would achieve what he's achieved. When he retires, it will be a mark of respect. But I'm not going to feel a single thing, because why would I? He's not my brother. He's not my cousin. He's not my GOAT. He's just a player who is a legend at this club, was an amazing player. I know many people see him as a messiah, but I don't prescribe to it. So look, when he does retire, respect, but I'm not going to feel anything. As a Rangers man, we support the team through good and bad, unlike the green and shite. Hi mate, do you reckon we'll sign someone before the transfer window shut? Nah, mate, I don't. I don't. The only thing that I would say is maybe Ndidi comes in, but I don't think he does. I think Ndidi, and condolences to him that his father passed away. No, mate, I don't, buddy. I don't. The Bronx says, I'm Irish, and the last 3 games I've been in the pub. It's great when other team fans come to watch us play, and it is. Look, I'm not taking anything away. And look, I'll get through the chats. I'm still more shocked that you were targeted and made to feel unwelcome at protest. Look, mate, it happens, Nick, a root suit. Look, it happens. People don't want. People want the protests. People want the Glazers out, right? And I've been saying this for such a long time. But unless you're top red, unless your channel is absolutely massive, there is no room. There is no room for anything new. There is no room for a new voice. And I'm not saying that my voice is a great voice. I just have an opinion. But some people's opinions matter more. Apparently there were 600 people there yesterday. And look, irrespective of whether, targeted to stay away, I don't hold it against people. I don't. People are passionate. People want to protest. But until this fan base comes together, and I'm talking about protest groups, I'm talking about channels, big channels should come together. I don't class myself in that, by the way. I think big channels should come together. I think people who have a good voice should come together on a big stream. And I said this before. What I think should happen is, I think a sort of one big channel, maybe you do it once a year. You put all the publicity on it. You put all the monetization on it. And everybody gets onto the channel for a couple of hours, all come together. Any views, any clicks doesn't go to their channels. It goes to a singular channel. You raise cash, and you give it. You give it to the children's hospitals. You give it. You support ex-players. You support. The protests. You actively encourage the protests. Channels won't come together. Protesters won't come together. there are, you've got to be a certain type of, I get called out on here all of the time because I'm not from Manchester. That seems to be the common theme. Then I don't understand what protesters and what fans want. They want the Glazers out. They want to protest. They want Ineos out. They want this team to be progressive. They want this team to win Champions League, the league. They want to buy the best players. But until the Glazers go, until Ineos go, it's just not going to happen. And look, my platform here is open to pretty much most people. If there are people that have channels, and look, we're not huge, but I'm more than happy to have a debate with anybody. I'm more than happy to have people who've got a passionate voice come onto the channel and promote the channels to have a debate. It is what it is, mate. What if we went to the protest? He was getting threatened. Yes, pay your taxes. My taxes go towards Celtic supporter. And in court of a law of judge said we didn't do anything wrong. Sweep that under your sticky carpet. And I love it. Race, religion, how's your... I'm not getting that. Race, religion, how's your... mate, we're not getting into that. Look, come on now. I hope you do a United quiz for not for us all. Yeah, I will. I'll do another quiz again. Yeah, I will do. I will set it up. I will do another quiz again. Anyway, this is about United, not exactly. But look, guys, I am going to go. Look, it's been another good show. Look, if anything else does break, if we do sign anybody, I will come back on. Look, I am like any other fan. I hope that we do something in this window. Look, if we go and do a surprise belabour, Brownlight says, what did I miss there? Did you change shirts? No, this is the same shirt, my friend. No, this is the exact same shirt. Look, I'm just like any other fan. Look, I've got my opinion. Does it mean my opinion is right? No. Like all fans are passionate. All fans, care about the club. And I think, look, we've all got our different views. Like I say things, and sometimes passion gets ahead of me. And like I apologise on here. If I look, my aim of this channel is, look, my intention is just not to cause upset. My intention is never to disrespect people's opinions, right? And sometimes we don't agree, and that's fine. And if I think I've overstepped the mark, I will apologise, because it's important to, right? So look, we're all fans. We've all got our different opinions and views, and this is why. Even if you are the Glazers in, and you think Sir Jim is fantastic, that's your view. I'm not going to disrespect the view. I will reserve my right to not come back in your opinion, but give my opinion. It doesn't matter if you guys think that we're back, if you guys think that we can win the league again. I love that. I love the fact that this. Look, what I'm going to say to end the show on a positive note is this: we've won 3 games, right? Does it mask? Does it delude? Does it change my opinion on this club? No. But what I am going to say is, look, how good does it feel to win 3 games? We've won. Look, we've become so used to losing games. We've won 3 games on the bounce. Long may it continue, but for me, winning these 3 games has just emphasised the fact to me that I want to keep winning. And how you keep winning is you evolve. Now, with anything in life, if you want to get better and better and better, you've got to evolve as a person. You've got to evolve anything that you do, in your job, in your life, you evolve. And all I want this team to do is evolve. And this is why I want signings to come in, because look, this team is playing well. I fully support this team. And the reason why I want signings is to evolve this team. So look, that's where I'm at. So guys, I won't be back tonight unless anything does break. You guys are legends. Look, thank you for the comments. And look, I know we don't always agree, but it always comes from a place of respect. And look, I do apologise if I step out of line. It is what it is. But look, I apologise in advance. So look, I don't plan to be back tonight. If anything does break, I will be back. But look, guys, have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that we do sign a player, but I don't think we will. So look, guys, I will be back tomorrow, a day show again, and then I'll be back in the evening. So look, if I don't speak to you again, see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.